Abntv newspaper review. I am Ifeoluwa Adesonya and my colleague.
I am Kenny Afolabi.
Okay, here with me, I have the Guardian newspaper and the Tribune newspaper. Let's first of all go for the Tribune newspaper. Tinubu Buhari partnership and opposition. Tinubu Buhari partnership and opposition desperate search for validation. The special relationship between President Bola Tinubu and former President Muhammadu Buhari has witnessed many remarkable moments. It has experienced dramatic and exciting times, just as there have been challenging moments. Life-changing and sweet memories abound between the two great leaders. Between the two great men, their recollections of might have been. There are also open testimonies about the gains of the partnership and words of commendation, as well as scornful moments. Nonetheless, the two leaders have stood onto the admiration of their mutual friends and associates. And bewilderment, I dare say, disappointment of others who would wish both had long parted ways. How about pleasant times? One important moment readily comes to mind. It was towards the end of 2017, 2 years into Buhari presidency. The former president was traveling to Abuja, Cote d'Ivoire. Coming from Buhari, the invitation was a pleasant surprise to the then all-progressive Congress national leader, given that the administration he worked very hard with others to bring into existence had largely sidelined him after taking over power in 2015. The Cote d'Ivoire invitation, therefore, represented one of the few occasions he would be directly contacted. Over to you, Kenny.
Punch newspaper. Esther NSCDC deploy 1,525 officers in Anambra. The Nigeria Security and the Civil Defense Corps has deployed 1,525 personnel to safeguard lives and foster vandalism of critical national, state and local government assets in Anambra, ahead of the Easter celebrations. In a statement on Thursday, the state NSCDC head media and tactical NSCDC Okidigbo Odwin said the deployment was in the line with the recently launched joint operations Undogachi, Zero Kidnapping and Other Violent Crimes in the state. Edwin said the NSCDC State Command and Magu Olatunde gave the directive through an elaborate operational order at the command's tactical DJs held on Wednesday at the State Command headquarters, Awaka. The command encouraged members of the public to go about their daily activities without fear, stay security conscious, and be law-abiding in case of emergency that can contact the nearest civil defense officers. Esther, NSCDC deployed 1,525 officers in Anambra State. The full details of these stories inside the Punch newspaper for today. Over to you, Ifeoluwa.
In another story in Tribune newspaper, more tariff concerns few answers. Amid a volatile political environment and the unknowns surrounding newly unannounced U.S. tariffs, and then a sudden pullback, airlines, lessors, and maintainers find themselves in a wait-and-see position. The topic has dominated industry events over recent times, where general consensus is fairly consistent. The impact to aviation stakeholders and any cascading effects are yet to be fully understood. It's a curveball thrown at a critical time, as the industry appears to be approaching as inflation points on stubborn supply chain challenges. About a week ago, I would have probably said we were stable and getting better, said Ken Herbert, MD of RBC Capital Markets at Aviation Week Network MRO Americans on April 9, citing turnaround times in heavy shops, availability of spare parts, and conversation with distributors. With recent tariff announcements, it's hard at this point to see how that fully transpires. Hopefully, the current situation is a short-lived in nation and doesn't disrupt what was looking to be a year of stability to improvement. Air Canada, among the airlines to pull down some transborder capacity due to lower demand in the wake of geopolitical backlash, voiced similar impressions of supply chain progress. Though slow, we were hopeful in 2025, said Grace Regillo, Air Commander, Strategic Procurement, ACM, and Technical Services. At the MRO event in Atlanta, now with the current situation, maybe there's some uncertainty in that area. Over to you, Kenny.
Another story here with me in the Punch newspaper. Nigeria needs 2,000 actuaries to support financial sector, says FRC. The Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria has emphasized the need of at least 2,000 actuaries to support the country's financial sector's growth. The Punch Online report that currently Nigeria has only 28 qualified actuaries, which is grossly inadequate for a nation to its agile. The Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officers of FRC, Dr. Rabi Oluro, stated this on Wednesday at a one-day Nigeria Actuary Development Program Advocacy Outreach for students of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Kaduna State. The workshop has its theme, Building Capacity for Actuaries Excellence in Nigeria. Oluro said the Nigeria Actuary Development Program aims to address the shortage of actuaries in Nigeria with fewer than 30 fully qualified professionals in the field. Nigeria needs at least 2,000 actuaries to meet national demand and support the financial sector's evaluations. Nigeria needs 2,000 actuaries to support financial sector, says FRC. The full details of this story is inside the Punch newspaper for today. Over to you, Folua.
In another story in Tribune newspaper, kidnapping, NSA counsel to families of victims. The terrorist attacks that Nigerians are daily confronted with typically attract different shades of opinion, from the sublime to the ridiculous. One of such recently came from the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu. Ribadu was in Kaduna State, to receive the most recent set of Nigerians lucky to be alive after being captured by a notorious gang of kidnappers. The victim numbering 60, including a deputy director in the civil service and a relative of Vocal Social Critical and Catholic Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka, had been in a captivity for well over a month before their rescue following military operation in southern Kaduna. The victims were thereafter handed over to the Minister of Defense, Muhammad Abubakar. The NSA, apparently frustrated by the ease with which the criminals carried out their activities, gave a recommendation to stem the violence regularly visited on Nigerians by outlaws. He warned Nigerians to desist from paying ransom to the terrorists, kidnappers, and criminal groups. His reason was that the receipt of ransom by the nefarious person wasn't the fight against kidnapping. He said, "Let me urge our people, families, to stop giving ransom to these criminals. Please stop giving money to these people. The more money you give, the more you compound the problem. We have never given any money to any of these people. Giving money to these people is counterproductive. The more money you give them, the more they request for more. We are getting our brothers and sisters rescued from the hands of the evil people. But releasing them is not the end of the matter. We will go after them and they will face the consequences. We have been working day and night, and I know the NSA does not sleep, all in the bid to ensure the security issues are resolved. I want to thank Nigerians for the trust they are showing and for providing information which is assisting the successes. They should continue to have trust in us, give us support by providing information, because this information is needed to overcome these evil people." Over to you, Kenny.
Northern governors in joint push against resistance attacks. Following the surging banditry, insurgents, and terrorist activities in the north, Chairman Northern State Governor Forum Mohammed Yahya is employing a joint approach with fellow governors in the regions to tackle the issues the Punch has exclusively linked. Monday's gun attacks on Zukes and Kukma communities in Plateau State. Basa local government areas Bangome, which claim a reported of 5 lives, including the families of 8, and came less than 2 weeks after armament also struck multiple villages in Boxus areas of the state and killing 52 people. Homes were touched. property destroyed, and several persons sustained injuries. Northern governors in joint push against resurgence in attacks. The full says of this story is inside the Nation newspaper for today. Over to you.
Now let's proceed to Guardian newspaper. Headers Forum decries Plateau carnage. The police have confirmed the attack on yet another Benue community by suspected herdsmen. The orgy of killings and bloodletting in the state and others is yet to abate, as communities are still being assailed daily. The latest onslaught occurred at the Hakpa Otobi community in Otupo, local council of Benue State. The council chairman, Maxwell Oguri, told the Guardian that 10 persons have been confirmed dead and several others injured in the attack that lasted Tuesday night until early hours of Wednesday. A female survivor who craved anonymity recounted that due to the hot weather, most of the villagers were outside relaxing when gunshots periodically rang the air. Spokesperson for the Benue Police Command, Catherine Anene, said she was with the Commissioner of Police at the scene of the attack at Otobi when the Guardian called to verify the incident. Meanwhile, the North Central Youth Council has issued a stern ultimatum to Governor Caleb Mofrang, demanding he either declares war on bandits or resign from office over seeming failure to address the ongoing attacks in Plateau State. Over to you, Kenny.
Nation newspapers. Federal government commit to enhance food security. The federal government has restated its commitment to improving food security, and enhancing the livelihoods of small orders farmers through strategic partnerships and sustainable agricultural development. Two ministers gave this assurance at the separate engagements in Abuja. Speaking at the inaugural meeting of the Agricultural Sectors Working Group in Abuja, the Ministers of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagundu, spoke when a delegation from the Japan International Cooperation Agency Nigeria's office met in Abuja. He assured the GCAN delegation that the federal government will work in collaboration with the Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria and other stakeholders to ensure the successful rollout of training programs focused on foundation seeds and certified seeds. Federal government commits to enhance food security. The full says of this story is inside the Nation newspaper for today. Over to you, Philo.
In another story, suspend France stream to address insecurity, Obi tells Tinubu. Abntv decries President destructuring other policies somersaults Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 election, Peter Obi, yesterday urged President Bola Tinubu to suspend a trip to France and return home to address the ongoing killings across the country. Abntv, a prominent Yoruba socio-political organization, also expressed deep concern and disappointment over the current state of Nigeria's Federation under Tinubu's administration. Obi pleas on his X account came 4 days after the presidency dismissed report that Tinubu left the country to see doctor in France, insisting that it was a working visit. Special advisor to the president on policy communication, Daniel Bwala, on Channel Television Politics Today, was reacting to the claim by popular activists and popular former president candidate, Omoyele Sowore, who said the president's trip to France was for medical purposes. Tinubu spokesperson Bayo Ononuga said his principal, who traveled on April 2nd, was expected to return to Nigeria about a fortnight. But Obi warned that the president continues to stay in a foreign land to further exacerbate the rising wave of the insecurity in the country. He said, I am compelled at this time in our lives as a nation to call on our restraining president attention to the security challenges at home, which entails that immediately suspend his ongoing retreat in a foreign land and come home to address the overwhelming security situation across the country. Over to you, Kenny.
Another story here with me in the Nation newspaper. INEC chairman challenges African youth on elections rules. Independent National Electoral Commission Chairman Mohamed Yakubu has challenged African youth to be the forefront of promoting peaceful and credible elections across the continent. Yakubu said, Youth must actively engage in the election process with a positive mindset and shunning electoral malpractice and upholding democratic values. He gave the charge while delivering lectures on democracy and peaceful elections in West Africa to students of international affairs and diplomacy and peace and conflict studies at the Civil Service University, Republic of the Gambia. He highlighted the roles of young people in the electoral process, stressing that elections in Africa cannot succeed without their participations. While noting that young people from the backbone of elections officials, Yakubu said, election management body lack the manpower to conduct elections without recruiting the youth as temporary. INEC chairman challenges African youth on elections rules. The full details of this story is inside the Nation newspaper for today. Over to you, Ifeoluwa.
Okay, in another story in Guardian newspaper, national head count, insecurity, economic concerns trail Tinubu's push for fresh censor. Censor critical, but timing raises suspicion, say stakeholders. 19 years since the last censor, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu yesterday inaugurated a high-level committee for the forthcoming national population and housing census, taxing the panel to submit an interim report within 3 weeks. The latest mandate is seen as a bold attempt to break the jinx associated with holding an accurate head count for the country, which the last attempt was 19 years ago, precisely in November 2006. But despite those lofty benefits, Nigeria are skeptical that a credible head count could hold at this point of the nation's socio-political challenges, including economic downturn, insecurity, and general appetite to civil undertakings, inaugurating the special panel. President Tinubu stressed the pivotal role of a technological-driven process in ensuring credible and verifiable results, noting the need for collaboration among all relevant agencies and stakeholders. He underscored the critical financing factor in the exercise and enjoined the members to look at domestic and even international sources. He stated, work with all relevant agencies, including the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning. This ministry must take charge of this because you cannot budget if you do not have how many they have, or you don't know how many they have. We expect you will touch on the technology area because the censor must be technological driven. Things have changed since the last time that we conducted the exercise. The enumeration must be technology driven with biometrics and digitalization. Over to you, Kenny.
Last story here with me in the Nation newspaper. Shettima urges MDAs as further governments enable presidential enable business environment to collaborations. Vice President Kashim Shettima has called on the ministry, departments, and agencies of federal government as well as the Presidential Enabling Business Environments Council to deepen interagency collaborations in order to foster a more conducive business environment. He said the administrations of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu remain resolute in its commitment to the 8-point Renew Hope agenda. The agenda, according to him, is central to a robust and strengthened lines business environment that support the ease of doing businesses. Shettima urges MDAs and PEDBC to collaborations. The full details of this story is inside the Nation newspaper for me. Anyone with this story? So that's what we have for you on our newspaper review. If you like to watch it live and direct on our website page, you can click and follow us on www.abntv network on our social media. Likewise, we have the Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. On our Facebook, you can like, share, comment, and make sure you subscribe and like and comment and subscribe and share. You can follow us on Abntv Houston. Likewise, on our YouTube, you can follow us on Abntv Nigeria. And on our Twitter, you can like, share, comment, and follow us on Abntv Houston as well. And lastly, on our Instagram, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe and follow us on Abntv Nigeria. My name is Kenny Afolabi.
I am Ifeoluwa Adesonya.
And thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.